Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new I Don't Work You Lady stories.
The first story is called I Am Not Your BNB. This happened a few years ago. My neighbors are renting out their home while they're in Europe. It's been a pretty problem-free experience until today. Yesterday, I was studying at home. At midday, I saw a car pull up in front of my neighbor's house. A couple exit the car and immediately went up to the front door to knock. As time passed and no one answered, they started exploring the property, presumably searching for someone. Unfortunately for them, no one was home. This is where things started to get interesting. The man, growing increasingly agitated, decided the sensible thing to do in this situation was to climb over a fence into my neighbor's backyard. As I watched, perplexed by his decision-making, I saw him wandering around, knocking on, and then trying to forcibly open the back door. It was a rather amusing sight. That is until he gave up and decided the next thing he would like to do is climb the fence from my neighbor's backyard into mine. At the moment, our landlord is building an extension to the house. I am immediately worried that this man might accidentally injure himself on the construction site. I rush out to speak to him. What I'm met with is an out-of-breath, red-faced man and a woman, rapidly descending down my driveway towards me. Knowing a little about my neighbor's arrangement, I initially try to help. "Hi, are you the guests at my neighbor's Airbnb? Check-in isn't until 3 p.m. I don't think you'll find anyone there at the moment." The lady, now upon me, was unhappy after hearing this. "You need to let us into the house." I'm taken aback. "I'm sorry? I'm not your host, I just live next door. You should get in touch with neighbor, as they'll be able to help." Ignoring the perfectly rational advice I've given them, the lady starts turning a deep shade of red. Her partner was silently glaring at me, his face beginning to contort with anger. "They told us we could check in at 10 a.m. You should really contact your host." As I've said, I'm just the neighbor. This only seemed to anger the couple more, and the lady immediately started shouting at me. "You need to let us in, or I am calling the police." At this point, I'm getting pretty annoyed. I tried to explain the situation to her again but only got so far as "I can't let you in" before she cut me off. "Let us in or give us our money back." Now, in her increasing anger, coherent sentences started to break down, which in hindsight was pretty funny to watch. It became a series of "you told us 10 a.m, give me back my money," and more threats to call the police, who would apparently get them a refund. I've never seen someone get so belligerently mad in such a short amount of time. At this stage, I'm done with being polite. "Lady, I am not your host. You climbed over the fence into my backyard, which is why I'm out here speaking to you. You both need to leave and contact your host. I know that their check-in isn't until 3 p.m. Being forceful at least interrupted her tirade, but she was still mad. As I watched her, I could see her slowly starting to process the situation. Despite this, she wouldn't apologize or admit that she was wrong. Instead, she blurted out, "Can we at least store our luggage with you then?" I was perplexed. "What?" She repeats herself, this time much louder, apparently still under the delusion that yelling is the way to get what she wants. "No, you're not leaving anything with me." After a further brief exchange they left, and I immediately let my neighbors know what happened. Now, here's the justice to the story. My neighbors were annoyed, like really annoyed. They tried to contact their guests, but they wouldn't answer their phone. Eventually, they let Airbnb know what happened. Airbnb tried to reach out to them, too, but again, the guests were uncontactable. During our exchange, the man let me know his name, let's call him Bob. As it turns out, the booking was made under a completely different name. Both my neighbors and Airbnb tried to verify who was staying, but Bob wasn't responding to their calls or messages. Eventually, Airbnb decided to cancel Bob's booking. I wrote a note letting Bob know he needed to check his Airbnb messages and that his booking had been cancelled due to the situation this morning. At 3 p.m, the car returned, this time filled with 4 more people. Apparently, Bob was trying to sneak in a few extra unpaid guests. I watched the quiet resignation on their faces as they read the note and it felt good. As an aside, my neighbor managed to rebook the dates with a lovely couple and Airbnb honored the payout for the insane couple's cancelled booking. My neighbors insisted on giving me a portion of the payout for my trouble, but honestly knowing that these horrible people were inconvenienced was enough. The next story is called "This Is Not a Restaurant." I live in a small apartment above a bar that has a really good kitchen. Over time I've become friends with the owners, who are really great people. This past weekend, there was lots of noise coming from the bar at about midnight, so I came to complain. They said they couldn't do much about the noise as it was a crowd watching a game. But if I came in at some point this week, they'd give me dinner for free as an apology. That brings us to yesterday. I'd gotten off of work late and didn't feel like cooking. So decided to cash in that aforementioned free dinner. As I'm eating, things start to get really loud and busy again. So I ask for my meal to be put into a to-go container. The owner said I could just take the plate upstairs, as long as I return it later that night or the next day. As I'm leaving, still shoveling fries into my mouth, I notice a woman trying to flag me down from her table. I assumed she was looking at a server behind me, so I took no notice and walk outside, carrying my dinner. I put down the plate to open my door, and while I'm rooting through my pocket, I feel a sharp tap on the shoulder. The lady from before said, "Don't just ignore me like that. I ordered almost 40 minutes ago and I've not got my food. This is unacceptable. I know this can't be true, considering even when it's packed I've never waited longer than 30. So I asked, okay? I was not quite sure what she wants. She said, "What do you mean okay? What are you going to do about it? I want my meal discounted for this." I now realized what's happened. I don't work there, you'll need to speak to someone who does about doing that. And I turned to open my door. She looked past me, up the stairs, and said, "Don't lie to me. I know you guys are just hiding up there instead of working. I'd like to speak to the owner." So I explained, "Lady, this is my apartment, please leave me alone." I was holding the door open while I bend over to pick up my meal. The woman pushes past me and charges up the stairs, screaming as she goes, "You guys better get back to work. There are people waiting to be served down here." At this point, she's reached the top of the stairs and is now looking around my room, realizing the only one she was yelling to was my fish, who I'm sure wasn't in any mood to serve her anything after that. I said to her, "See? Get the heck out of my apartment." At this point, I was angry, tired, and fantasizing about the burger on the plate in my hand. But this was not enough for Karen. Well, it doesn't change the fact that I've been waiting for ages for my food and that's unacceptable. Clearly, you know the owners, so I think you should still talk to them for me. I just screamed, "What the heck? Get out." I'm out of patience at this point and begin to walk towards her and try to usher her back down the stairs. She screamed, "Don't touch me. If you don't care, I'll find someone who does." She ran back down the stairs and slammed the door on the way out, however not before kicking a pair of my shoes into the street, which I then had to go out and collect. I saw the owner today when I gave the plate back, and he said the lady had come back down and caused a scene in the bar. Eventually, the bouncer removed her. I couldn't believe she still tried to act like she was right, even after she realized she was standing in my apartment, not a restaurant. The last story is called, "Shouldn't Pour Water on People." I have a hobby-like job working for a casino party company. They get contracted by companies to come out and set up some casino tables so their employees can fake gamble just for fun during their parties and events. Most of the time, employees buy tickets and that's how they play. It's like one ticket for $50 and a ticket is worth $2,000 in fake chips. You can then turn in your chips for prize tickets and go through a raffle to win prizes at the end. It's a lot of fun and easy money for someone in college, like yours truly. We had a gig last night at a nice hotel ballroom, for a really good company too. We're required to dress in all black, with a button-up shirt and slacks. We look just like the actual staff of the hotel, but with a name tag with a "Casino Parties" text on it. So I can sort of see why I'd be mistaken for the hotel staff. Cue in a really good night, having fun, good people, good table dealing. I swap out with someone to freely take a break, and walk about and grab a drink of water. Now here's where it goes completely downhill. What looks to be a 30-year-old woman comes to me and asks for a refill on her drink. She said, "Excuse me, could I ask you to refill my drink? I'll be right here." I said, "Sorry, I don't work here, I'm one of the guys at the tables. I can grab someone for you though." She didn't believe me. "You're clearly in the waitstaff uniform, I know you work here, I've seen you help others." She lied to my face as I was at my table all night. I said, "I'm sorry, but I really can't serve you, let me grab someone who can." She stepped on my foot as I stepped away and said, "You do work here." I then took my foot back, and now I was a little mad because I'm wearing some nice shoes here, that I paid for, and I am proud of. I said to her, "Okay look, I've told you I don't work here. You can find someone else. Hopefully, you won't step on them. She now grabs the attention of an actual waitstaff member and asks her to grab the manager, and she hesitantly does, and I was actually stunned. I asked, "You do understand that I don't work here?" But she said, "Keep saying that to me, you'll regret it." And then, the manager came. He asked, "Everything okay, ma'am?" She said, "This man refuses to serve me the drinks I asked for." He looks at me and asked my name, and I pointed at my name tag and told him, and he immediately knew I didn't work here. He said, "I'm sorry, but he doesn't work here, can I get your drink?" She freaks out at this with full-blown screeches. This is stupid. I'm not an idiot. And then she proceeds to grab my water and flings it at me, and it gets all over me. The manager said, "Ma'am, we do not act like this here, and I'm asking you to leave now." She starts throwing what I can only say is a tantrum, and then gets escorted out by the security they had on site. The table she was at had 10 of her tickets. That's over $500 she spent, with no prizes. She waited until after the party was over to speak to my manager and demanded a refund. He denied her and said she can go on her merry way, and told her the exact reason she couldn't was because she dumped water on his employee, and he won't stand for that. She stormed out after bickering for what seemed forever. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye bye.